guys, Shades here once again from RPT Entertainment. We're still here at Metrocon 2015, and I am sitting next to the lovely and talented Miss Carrie Keranen. How are you doing, Carrie?
Hello, hello, hello. I'm fantastic. How are you?
Doing good, doing good.
Yeah, wait, how do I look? Let me see. Okay. All right, great. Okay.
We're good.
Perfect. Perfect. Gotta use them if they're gonna be there.
Indeed, indeed. Now, you know, this last year has been a pretty big year for you so far. You know, you got Madoka Magica that came out, and of course Kill la Kill's the big thing right now. How have you been feeling on that?
It's been fantastic. It's been really great. It's been a really exciting year. Also, not only to do such big characters and such awesome shows, but just like such a variety. Because inside that, I've also been doing the Neptunia series, which is like this really shy girl. It's just been a really very big year for me in terms of the variety of the things that I'm working on.
Right.
So it's been super fun for me, and I think because these two particular shows you mentioned are so popular, I've been going to more conventions and getting a chance to meet more fans, which is really exciting because that's not something I've done in the past.
Right.
So it's been really fun.
Indeed, yeah, and we mentioned that because like Lady Satsuki, I would say you've had a well-paced build to this point. Because you started out with stuff, Casca and Berserk, and of course
that was my first one.
Yeah, and then of course Mokuba and Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
That's the one I remember for sure. All the way to here now, and have you enjoyed that ride so far?
I really have. I just feel like it's such an amazing thing to work in this field because you're just learning more and more as you go. You're like, and not just like, oh, this is my first boy or this type of character, but you're learning more about yourself, about your voice, about your point of view on things, and you also get to see how you evolve as a person. I'm just not the same person now that I was when I did Mokuba. I'm not sure I'd even book it now. It's just, so it's amazing to kind of track your own life along with these characters and the kinds of people that you're playing.
Right.
So it's been fantastic, and it's just amazing to look and say, oh my gosh, and there's just so much more to grow, so much more to do. It just feels like you could just work for 40 years and still be learning,
That's always a lot of fun, and with what I do, I kind of share that feeling as well, because I've been doing this just these interviews for 6 years, and every interview is different than the last. Everyone feels different. I become more natural in speaking, so I know how that feels.
Is it funny to go back and watch early ones and be like, oh, whoa,
you have no idea.
You know what I mean? And then the same thing, but sometimes when I hear things, I'm like, oh my gosh, wow, oh, I was so young, I just started,
I can't believe I used to be that bad. Even when you're not.
Right, but you feel like, oh, you just get more nuance, like you're saying, more comfortable. There's just something that's there's just a maturity that happens just in doing it, that you just really can see your growth.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, not only have you done stuff in front of the mic, but you've done stuff behind the mic. You've done some ADR, assistant ADR work for stuff like Freedom and Oh My God. What's it like being on the other side of the booth?
Oh, I love it. One of the things I loved about it the most is it was always working with the other talent, because in voiceover a lot of times you don't necessarily meet everyone else, but because I was producing shows, I got to meet all the talent in New York, and first of all, they're just lovely people. Voice actors are just lovely people.
I've never met one that's been bad for me.
Well, Michael Cinder Nicholas. No, I was kidding.
Oh, burn!
I love him. No, he's a really close friend of mine for 10 years. But what's so fascinating is you, especially when you're auditioning, you hear everybody doing the exact same, the exact same sides, the exact same character description, and yet everyone's individual interpretation of it. And you can just hear qualities in people's voices that just translate, and then you start to hear yourself, and it's just amazing because you see all of the, uniqueness inside of it, and it's just really a beautiful thing to be able to sort of put that together and say, okay, what's the most important quality for this character, for the audience to pick up on, and putting together that cast, and then you also start to feel less personal about things you book and don't book. You know what I mean? It really gives me producing gave me as an actor a real sense of humility and understanding that I'm a part of a whole, and that sort of connected feeling to be oh wow, look at this as us as a group. It really helps you just understand the whole process and how things get decided. Basically, it always comes down to the piece, what's best for the piece, what's best for the fans,
Right. Now, of course, even though voice acting is serious business, and sometimes things go wrong, and I will always like to ask, is there any funny behind-the-scenes stories you can share with us, like the good kind?
You know, it's so funny. People often ask this question, and I'll tell you that it's rare that there's a session that goes by where like something weird or funny or whatever happens, but then you kind of I don't really like remember them later, you know? I have a couple of engineers who kind of like record all the time, or are really good about recording when you're not in live, you know, and so they'll like play something back later, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot that happened. But you know, you'll be like, oh my gosh, yeah, that time, ha ha ha. And I also feel like sometimes they're so contextually based in what's happening. Like when I'm goofing off, it's always really contextually based in like what's happening visually. Like you start to like launch into improv about what's happening. So if it's not in front of you, it like doesn't even make sense to like a good story. So I've really been on the lookout actually for like a good booth story. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I can tell this story, and it's easy and it's funny and it makes sense. But no, I mean, I think the only thing that I really discovered is that like, you know, I can be prone to, you know, farting when doing like call outs, you know what I mean? Like when you're really like pushing like transformations and stuff, when you're really like pushing it, it gets sometimes like, oh, whoopsie, just kind of, you push on the diaphragm hard enough, and then it just like, you're like, did the mic get that? Did you? There have been times where it has.
I've heard stories like that.
And that's the only thing that I can be like, well, that's the consistent embarrassing thing that will happen over and over. But that's just biology, you know? That's just biology.
Can't help that.
Can't help biology.
Now, of course, we're here at Metrocon, you know, big con for us down here. What's it like, now that you're able to go a lot more often, what's it like going to these conventions and meeting with all these fans?
It's awesome, actually. You know, what always consistently surprises me is like how thoughtful the fans' questions are. You know, about the show, especially about like things like Madoka. Like you know what I mean? And me and Sarah and Williams got into a huge debate about Rebellion once I finally saw it. Like at a convention, you know, and the fans were just like, you know, and they film everything, right? They film everything, so everything's this debate that Sarah and I have, no record of it. Like, I swear, everyone was like so like, in the room, and people were like coming in from the hallway because we were getting so animated about our fight. She was on Homura's side, I was not on Homura's side. And so we were having this huge debate, and nobody recorded it. Nobody was filming, but everyone was like, well, in episode 7 she this, and episode 3, and I was like, it's just amazing how much they know the shows, and they know like all the like, surrounding, you know, like fan-based stuff, and like all the surrounding information about shows and the comics. I'm just like, oh my gosh. So they're always, they're really into it. They're very detailed. Their questions are really thoughtful, and honestly, they're really, really nice. Like everyone's like, oh, do you have any like bad fan stories? I'm like, no, I don't have any. Like I've just met like the loveliest people, you know.
Yeah, I don't tend to go for the bad stories. I tend to go for the funny ones.
But I literally don't even have any.
I know.
Which is great, you know.
Yeah.
And it's also nice. It's honestly, I have to be honest. When I first started coming to this idea of having fans, it's sort of a little bit of a weird thing, right? You're like, what does that mean? You know, like because I'm just me. You know what I mean? Like, why would there be fans? And then, I guess I sort of was really thinking about that a lot, and I thought, okay, you know, I go into the booth and I have this character, and I take my heart and I put my heart into this character. And then that character goes out into the world, and then the fans watch it, and then it touches them. And then they come back at a convention like this, and they get to say, oh, hi, yes, that touched me. And then I get to say to them, yes, thank you, yes, me too. You know, so I feel like it helps like close that circle that's always been open. Otherwise, you just kind of do these performances, you send it out, and you're like, okay. But it's been nice to sort of have them come back and maybe like, yes, right, I loved her too, you know, and that kind of connection has been really nice for me.
I tend to see that a lot when I, you know, especially like this con, I see that a lot, and it always makes, you know, it's the reason I keep coming back here every year when I see stuff like that. One question I always like to ask is like, I'm going to set this up for you.
Okay, set it up. Set it up, Shades, set it up, lay it down.
All right, there's a show that you absolutely always wanted to be a part of, and you just, like a favorite show from your childhood or something like that, and you just found out that they're rebooting it with a brand new cast. What show would it be, and what role would you want?
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, the Care Bears vote has already passed. What show from my childhood would I want?
Like, what's that one role that you're like, I so wish I could have been that person? And you would get to just...
Oh, you know who I love? Oh my God, I haven't thought about this before. But you know who I just loved? I loved. Well, there's two roles. There's two roles that I absolutely loved. One was Rainbow Bright. I was obsessed with Rainbow Bright, and I had her and her horse and everything. And And She-Ra, Princess of the Universe.
Oh, of course.
Of course, because she's, you know, Princess of the Universe and she has a sword. And I feel like that answer is exactly me. Like, it's, I have this, like, I meet in the middle of, like,
complete opposites.
Complete opposite, you know what I mean? Like, on one hand, I'm like, I'm actually, like, inside, I'm actually, like, a very soft, loving, gentle person. But, like, on the outside, I'm very, like, ah! You know? So it's like,
I cannot see that.
It's like these two worlds constantly colliding,
Yeah, I can imagine.
But I would have it, like, She-Ra, Princess of the Universe. She-Ra, Princess of the Universe. Yeah.
I can almost hear it now with the Satsuki voice too.
Yeah, right. They're not that unsimilar.
No.
Except for She-Ra's like a lot more benevolent from the get-go.
Yeah, that's true. A little nicer.
She's really like looking out. She's really looking out. Satsuki is not. I wouldn't say looking out. I would say she's
got the big picture in her
taking
head.
care.
She's got that big picture in her head.
Yeah.
All right, now. Last question for you. I know there's NDA, so I know you can't tell us everything, but is there anything that you can talk about as far as upcoming projects as we head towards the future?
The future! Oh my gosh, you know, it's so funny. I'm like dying. I worked on 2 projects recently that I cannot wait. Cannot wait. One of them, I literally cried in the booth. I cried. There was a moment that happened in the booth that I like cried, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait for that, but that's going to be a while. The only things I can talk about are things that are already released.
Yeah.
You know? So, one of the things, Tales of Hysteria, which I loved working on. So fun. Me and Robbie are 2 of the leads in that, and that was my first time with Cup of Tea, and I just love that studio, and that was a super fun game to work on, and a really fun character, because she's like really dorky, you know what I mean? Tells like bad jokes and stuff, so that was like really exciting. But yeah, that's such a hard question because I feel like it's so exciting when something like announces, and I always find out from the fans first. Because they're like, hey, did this? I'll be like, 1 second. Then you check, be like, am I allowed to confirm that it's me or no? And then like you hear back, like, yes, that is me. Otherwise they'll like,
boom.
Yeah, right. You know, you have to sort of like be really careful. And then so I also don't necessarily I'm not great about paying a ton of attention to like when something has officially been announced or not. So like, did that come out yet? And I accidentally started talking about Tales one time at a convention. I was like, wait, what? And I said something, and then Matt Mercer said something, and I said something, and then he kind of looked at me confused, and then I realized that he was talking about a different Tales game, and that I was talking about the one that hadn't been announced yet. But like I had it like set, I was just about to
say the name,
and I was like, nothing, later, forget it. Anyway, and he was like, all right. So
yeah, potential dodge, hopefully.
Yeah, but like you said, in terms of just things like building up, I feel like things keep kind of moving in that direction, and so I have a couple of things I've recorded recently that I'm really, really just, like super excited about.
Oh, you guys will just have to keep your ears open for that,
won't you? Keep your ears open, because you will hear. I will be shouting from the rooftops.
I was just going to say.
Shouting from the rooftops, you guys, you'll never guess!
Well, Carrie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Make sure you guys tune in for even more awesome content here from Metrocon 2015. I'm The Shades, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Rock on!